Hi aspirants, welcome to SRV's weekly current affair discussions for geography and environment. Today's first topic is about the Karyawas. So we have already learnt about the Karyawas in the conventional geography part. It's right there in the NCERT, and even the picture given here, it is from the NCERT, you can see here. The Karyawas are Kashmir's highly fertile alluvial soil deposits. They are alluvial, and they are now being excavated to be used in construction, and that is why it is in use. It's considered to be too precious, but they are used in construction. In the Kashmiri dialect, the term Karyawas means an elevated tableland, something like a plateau. They are unconsolidated and semi-consolidated sand clay conglomerate sequence. This whole statement is important. And in the Kashmiri language, the local people call it as wood. And the Karyawas are the thick deposits of glacial clay and other materials embedded with moraines. So each and every word is important here because this is conventional geography directly from the NCERT. So what are moraines? They are deposits by the glaciers. And these Karyawas are unconsolidated lacustrine deposits. So what is lacustrine? Lake, something deposited by the lake. And the Kashmir Valley is between the Great Himalayas and the Pir Panjal. This has been already asked in the exam. You can see it here. Between the Great Himalayan Range and the Pir Panjal, you have a valley, and this valley is called as Kashmir Valley. In the earlier times, when the Himalayas was being built, when the upliftment of the Pir Panjal happened, the flow of the river which was already flowing there was stopped, and all this water got collected in a region forming a huge lake, and all the deposits of this lake got deposited there and formed plains, and one such thing was this Karyawas. Karyawa formations are useful for the cultivation of saffron, or simply called as saffron. These are also important for the cultivation of almond, walnut, apple and orchards, but the saffron is world famous, and this has already been asked in exam as well. The next topic is about there has been plasma ejection over the sun's chromosphere. The plasma, which is called as the fourth state of matter, it is occurring in the sun's chromosphere. So this chromosphere is actually the atmosphere for the sun. So these are also called as jets or spicules, which appear as thin grass-like plasma. You can see here thin grass-like plasma structures that constantly shoot up from the surface and then brought down again by the gravity. The plasma which is right below the visible solar surface, like how we have the ground on the earth, the lithosphere we have, right? So similarly to that, you have the photosphere. For the earth it is the lithosphere, for the sun it is the photosphere. And this region, this plasma, is actually in a state of convection. So what is convection? Something which is moving in rotation, moves up, comes back down. So this continues. So this is called as convection. So we have seen this convection in various places in geography, like convectional rainfall, where the water in the ocean is evaporated and taken up, and again it comes down as rainfall, fills up the ocean, again it goes up. This keeps continuing as a rotationary motion, so which is called as a convection. And under the earth, the magma has convection because of the heat at the center of the earth. So this convection of the magma seems to be the energy for the moving of the plates. And here also we can see this plasma in a state of convection. So this convection is powered by the energy at the center, that is the nuclear energy at the core of the sun. This chromosphere is 500 times lighter than the plasma. So it is like something which is lighter is underneath and which is heavier is over it. So the denser one will definitely try to go down and the lighter one will try to come up always, right? So the plasma which is beneath this chromosphere but is lighter, and it's also much hotter as well, so it keeps like kicking from the bottom. So the chromospheric plasma, it jets outward at ultrasonic speeds. This word ultrasonic could be important. So in the form of thin columns or spicules. So this is how this jets or spicules are coming. The next topic is about the inland waterways. So this has been in news for a very long time, and each time it is an expected question. So we have to know each and every detail about this. So it is in news because a place called Pandu in the Guwahati in Assam, it received the first voyage of food grains from Patna, from Bihar to Patna. It has gone through waterways, and it has used Bangladesh as an intermediate route. So Brahmaputra, which has the National Waterway 2, was connected with the Ganga, that which has the National Waterway 1, through this Indo-Bangladesh Protocol or the IBP route. This ship sailed from Patna on the National Waterway 1, passing through Bhagalpur, Manihari, Sahibganj, Faraka, Triveni, Kolkata, Haldia and Hemnagar. And then it connects to the IBP route, passes through this IBP route, then connects to the National Waterway 2, where it passes through Dhubri and Jogi-Hopa. So from all this, by passing through all these regions, finally it reaches this region called Pandu, which is in the current affair now. So we know that waterways are much cheaper and environmentally they are more friendly than other forms of transport such as railways or roadways or even the airways. So to promote this inland water transport in the country, 111 inland waterways was declared as national waterways under the National Waterways Act of 2016. Remember that there were only 5 national waterways before this act in 2016, and now we have 111. The first one is National Waterway 1, and it is from Allahabad to Haldia, and it runs through the Ganges, Bhagirathi and Hooghly rivers. So these 3 rivers you have to know which are passing through the National Waterway 1. And one more thing, it is the longest national waterway. Among the 111, the National Waterway 1 is the longest. The National Waterway 2, it is on the Brahmaputra river, and it moves from Sadia to Dhubri. It is in Assam, and it is the 3rd longest. So the second national waterway, that is the Brahmaputra waterway, it is the 3rd longest. And National Waterway 3, it is completely in Kerala alone, and it is from Kollam to Kottapuram. And something specific here is it is India's first waterway with all-time navigation facility. That is, it is not seasonal. Throughout the year it is navigable, and it consists West Coast Canal, Champakara Canal and Udyog Mandal Canal, because such a question was already asked in the previous years where it was about the Buckingham Canal related to the national waterways. So you have to know these 3 canals, and the one important is West Coast Canal, because later we will see something else opposite to this as East Coast Canal. And the National Waterway 4, it connects Kakinada to Pondicherry, and it is the 2nd longest. We know the 3rd longest, it is on the Brahmaputra, that is the National Waterway 2. The 3rd longest is Brahmaputra, but the 2nd longest is actually the National Waterway 4, and it connects Telangana, Andhra, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. So you have to know these states, definitely you have to know them. And some of the canals which it connects is Komanur Canal, Buckingham Canal and Kaluveli Tank. You definitely have to know these details. So such questions have been already asked. And the National Waterway 5, it connects Odisha to West Bengal, and the rivers involved here are Brahmani, East Coast Canal. So just now we saw about in Kerala it was the West Coast Canal, and the National Waterway 5 here it is the East Coast Canal, the Matai River and the Mahanadi River. So the important things to note here are Matai River and East Coast Canal and Brahmani River, because when Odisha is involved we will automatically remove Mahanadi, but the rest you have to know. And it is just 91 kilometers in West Bengal, the rest 532 kilometers is in Odisha. So Odisha has the longer share of this waterways, that is National Waterway 5. The next topic is about species richness survey. Actually every year the Wildlife Department of Forests and Wildlife Preservation of Punjab. It is not just for entire India, it is just Punjab, and it conducts water bird census exercise in just 6 major and most biodiverse wetlands, not all wetlands, but just 6 major and most diverse wetlands. Which are they? The Nangal Wildlife Sanctuary, Roper Conservation Reserve, the Harike Wildlife Sanctuary, the Kajili Wetland, the Keshopur Mayani, and the Ranjit Sagar Conservation Reserve. So your work is to find out each of this, the Nangal Wildlife Sanctuary, the Roper, all these things belong to which particular state and put it on the comment. And in the water bird census, it was found that the highest number of water bird count was in the Harike Wildlife Sanctuary. And it is in news because the census could not be done this year because of dense fog conditions. So what they did, instead of that, they did something else called as species richness survey. And it was conducted by the same department, that is Wildlife Department of Forest and Wildlife Preservation Punjab, but along with WWF of India, World Wildlife Fund India. So according to the Wetland Internationals, water birds are defined as species of birds that are ecologically dependent on wetlands. So those birds dependent on wetlands are called as water birds, and it is called by, this definition is given by Wetlands International. And when these birds migrate, they use a specific path. That's in international migration, they use specific paths, and they are called as flyways. And here we are talking about specifically the Central Asian flyway. Every winter the birds make their way to India through the Central Asian flyway, which covers a large continental area of Europe and Asia between the two oceans of Arctic and Indian Ocean. So it covers Europe and Asia continents and Arctic and Indian Oceans as well. Here you can see the green color path, the Central Asian pathway given here, and apart from that the other paths are also given. Question could be in such a way where they give a particular flyway and they ask which are the countries which are crossing through this flyway, or they could sometimes give the list of the countries and ask which particular flyway this could be. And particularly importance is for the Central Asian flyway because India is involved in that. And a flyway is a geographical region within which a single or group of migratory species completes its annual cycle. So what is an annual cycle? Breeding, molting, staging, and non-breeding. So this group of activities is called as annual cycle. The next topic is about Sundarbans reach the carrying capacity. So what is the carrying capacity? That is the number of tigers the forest can hold, or that a particular conserved facility can hold. It is over now, so there is no place for the tigers there. So what is the actual capacity in various places? In the Tera and Sivalik Hills habitat, this region, for example in the Corbett Tiger Reserve, 10 to 6 tigers can survive in a 100 square kilometer area. And in the Western Ghats region, only 7 to 11 tigers can survive in a 100 square kilometer area. Example, the Bandipur. And according to the 2018 All India Tiger Report, the carrying capacity of the Sundarbans is only 4 tigers per square kilometer. So how this is determined? This is determined based particularly on the prey availability and other availability like water and so on. So here the Sundarbans is a very tough terrain, and so very few animals live there, and so the prey amount is less. So only 4 tigers can survive in a particular 100 square kilometer region. So why we are talking about this is because we know tiger is a territorial animal. So each tiger will fix its territory, that is a male tiger will fix its territory, and it does not want any other male tiger to come into its territory, and if that happens, they both fight with each other and either one dies or runs away so that the other one stays there. And a male tiger will have hold of a particular area and a few number of females under its control. It does not want any other male tiger to get into its territory or touch its group of females which it has under its control. And the study by the Wildlife Institute of India, they suggest that the density of tigers in the Sundarbans may have reached the carrying capacity of the mangrove forests, and this could lead to human animal conflict. So the WII, that is the Wildlife Institute of India, says it could lead to human-animal conflict because already the Sundarbans has reached its carrying capacity. So what can be done? One thing, you can artificially boost the prey base, so by introducing some prey animals into the forest, or you can build tiger corridors where the tigers can safely move from one forest to another, because mostly through the forest we run highways and other things are there where the tigers cannot cross to the other place. If tiger corridors are there, they can cross from one forest to another forest in search of prey. And some important details here are, India has 70% of the global tiger population. Could be an important question. India has the highest number of tigers in the world. And in India, Madhya Pradesh falls the first place where it has 526 tigers, then Karnataka, then Uttarakhand. This could be a chronological question. And Kanha Tiger Reserve in Madhya Pradesh, it is the first tiger reserve in India to officially introduce a mascot. Mascot is something like a symbol of that, something like that. And that is the Barasingha. So I hope you remember in 2020 there was a question about this Barasingha, and we can see UPSC is asking more crucial questions, not like before where they just ask this is the animal, it belongs to which particular national park. No, they go even more deeper. They give statements about any particular animal, and then they ask these characteristics belongs to which animal and where it is present. So the questions are going a little bit deeper. So, and does that mean that you have to learn each and every national park and each and every animal in that? It's not humanly possible. So those things which are there in the current affair, you have to know all the details. For example, question like what sort of life it leads, in what sort of terrain it lives, such questions were asked in 2020. So be very careful. So you have whatever is there in the current affairs, know the details, everything in detail. So some of the conservation efforts for tigers globally and nationally. National level, we have the National Tiger Conservation Authority, or simply the NTCA, and it has launched M-Stripes, which stands for Monitoring System for Tigers, Intensive Protection and Ecological Status. Simply a mobile monitoring system for the forest guards to count the tigers, how many tigers are there and what are they doing, just to have a count on the tigers. That's it. This is called as M-Stripes, mobile stripes. So you can simply remember it as tigers have stripes, and that is how this name was also made. You have a mobile counting of the stripes. And internationally, the Pittsburgh Tiger Summit held in 2010 for all the 13 tiger range countries resolved to do double the tigers number in the wild with a slogan called T20, and India is the one country which achieved this doubling the tigers T2 before the target time. It's a great achievement by India, and your job is to find out what are these 13 tiger ranging countries and put it on the comment. The Global Tiger Initiative program of the World Bank. This is crucially important because you have an environment program run by the World Bank, because you have to know this. So this brought the global partners together to strengthen the tiger agenda, which led to the formation of something called as Global Tiger Initiative Council. So only thing you have to know is there was something called as Global Tiger Initiative by the World Bank to create the Global Tiger Initiative Council. So this council has two arms, that is Global Tiger Forum and then Global Snow Leopard Ecosystem Protection Program. So the Global Tiger Initiative, it is not only for tigers but also for snow leopards. And nationally we have this Project Tiger in 1973, which has grown very well. Now it has 50 reserves, which is about 2.2% of the country's geographical area. The entire India's 2.2% is just under the Project Tiger. This is really an applaudable cause. And what about the protection status of the tigers? Under the National Indian Wildlife Project Act of 1972, it is under Schedule 1. And IUCN status, it is endangered. It is not critically endangered, it is endangered. And under CITES, it is under Appendix 1. I hope you know what is CITES. It is to control the transboundary migration of animals, not the migration of animals which they migrate on their own, you carrying them, you transporting them for the purpose of poaching. So you poach animals and carry them transboundary, it will come under CITES. Next one is Northern River Terrapin, which is just a turtle, that's it. And it's a news because experts and forest officials, they have inserted a GPS transmitter on it, and they found that within a very short time they reached Bangladesh. So they are too good in traveling in water, and they are critically endangered, and they are native to South Asia. Such questions like native, endemic are really favorite for UPSC. Please know it is native to Southeast Asia, so it is not found anywhere else, and we cannot say it's not found anywhere else, which is not conditionally said, but naturally it's not found anywhere else. It is just native to this place. And which countries it is found in? It is in Bangladesh, India, Cambodia, Indonesia and Malaysia, and it is extinct in Myanmar, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. So you have certain Southeastern countries where it is extinct and other places where it is found. So these regions you have to know. It is a little bit difficult to remember. You have to somehow know, because such questions can be asked. The next topic is about solar conjunction event. Here it's in news because ISRO used S-band radio signals from the Mangalyaan. Mangalyaan, I hope you know, it is the Mars Orbiter project of India. They used this S-band of Mangalyaan to study the solar corona and locate the area of the sun where the temperature suddenly rises. So they have used a satellite that we sent for the Mars to study the sun. So this is in news. So they were able to do this because the sun, the Mars and the moon, they came in a single line. That is, between the Mars and the sun stood. So in this particular position, which is called as the solar conjunction, they were able to do this research. So it is a period when the Earth and the Mars are obscured from each other. They cannot see each other because the sun is at the center. And some important details here. Each solar radii is about 6,95,700 km, which is not a very important information. Actual important information is here. It is 109 times. The solar radius is 109 times the radius of the Earth. So the radius of the Earth is 109 times smaller than the radius of the sun. And the radius of the sun is 1 by 215th of an astronomical unit. So what is an astronomical unit? The distance between the Earth and the sun. And during the solar conjunction, these two planets cannot see each other. And there is a term called great conjunction. So what is this? So when Jupiter and Saturn are coming under a single line, when Jupiter and Saturn meet, it is called as great conjunction. So solar conjunction is when the sun comes exactly in line in between the Mars and the Earth, it is called solar conjunction. When Saturn and Jupiter fall in a single line, it is called as great conjunction. The next one is UNEA plastic pollution resolution. The UNEA 5.2 was held in Nairobi recently, and it was hosted by United Nations Environment Program, shortly UNEP. And this resolution is also for marine ecosystems, not just land but also for marine ecosystems. And another important information is plastic production has gone increasingly exponentially. That is, in the last decades it amounts to 400 million tons per year, and they say it could become double, that is 800 million tons per year in 2040. What is it? Plastic production. We are producing so many plastics. So why do we produce so many plastics? Because we fail to recycle plastics. Can we completely avoid using plastic? No, it's not so much. It's a little bit difficult. See, the pen I'm using here to write on the system, all these are made of plastic. So it's not so easy to completely avoid plastic, but we can recycle them. So apart from the subject that we learn, those people who are watching this, determine it from today, as much as possible don't use plastics, and when you have to use plastics, recycle them. Put it in a waste paper mart rather than putting it in a dustbin or throwing it on the roads. It's not about how much money you get when you put your things into a waste paper mart. It could be something even free, but put it in the waste paper mart so that it goes for recycling, so that we can save our planet Earth, the only place we have to live. And some important details about this is, by 2050, the greenhouse gas emissions associated with plastic alone will be 15% of the allowed emission. So what is this allowed emissions? They have fixed the emission. We have to control within that so that we don't let global warming beyond 1.5 degrees Celsius. But within this limit, 15%, if it carries just the plastic alone, then what about we fixing ourselves within this allowed limit for emissions? It's too difficult. So we have to control plastics. So the day we felt ashamed to carry a cloth bag, we started trouble for us and our environment. Carry cloth bags, nothing to be ashamed of it. It's to be proud. Rather than carrying a plastic bag, carry a cloth bag. Always have a cloth bag in your vehicle so that you don't go to a shop and ask for a plastic carry bag. And what are the outcomes of this meet? That is this UNEA plastic pollution resolution. What are the outcomes? The world's ministers for environment, that is for that each country's environment minister, they have come together in this meeting and they have agreed to establish something called as Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, simply INC. And they are going to forge an internationally legally binding agreement to end plastic pollution. So most of the agreements regarding the environment will be not legally binding. So but here this one is going to be legally binding. So this is very specific, so you have to know. So it began its work in 2022, that is the INC began its work in 2022 to somehow frame an legal binding agreement by the year 2024. So these years could be sometimes asked. Current affairs, something is there. Those years could be asked by UPSC. So the INC began in 2022 and the agreement should be made by 2024. And a very, very crucial information is here, that is this meeting, this resolution is considered to be most important environmental deal since the 2015 Paris Agreement. So if something is asked, so what is the most important environmental deal after the 2015 Paris Agreement? Definitely we will go for Glasgow Agreement, wouldn't we? But here the answer is this UNEA plastic pollution resolution, which is considered to be the most important after the 2015 Paris Agreement. That's it for today. Jai Hind. If you found the video useful, please share it with your friends so that everyone learns and grow together, and try to answer the questions, few questions that we faced in this particular video. Put it in the comments. And thank you. That's it for today. We'll meet in the next current affairs video. And don't forget, current affairs is one of the most crucial part or the most difficult part as far as UPSC exams are considered. So don't fail to follow the current affairs regularly. Thank you.